You know what inspired me to get on the Patreon and all that kind of stuff was the fact that at one point I read that what's his name, the Canadian professor Jordan Peterson was making a $125,000 a month on Patreon, and I was a month. Yeah, you heard that right. Boston Brian and Texas Paul joining me right now. How are you? Live on the show, and good to see you. And guys, how you doing?
It's happening.
I'm just excited. This is like a real show. This is really cool. Yeah, $125,000 a month he was pulling down.
To cry about how much the white male is being oppressed?
Yes, well, the Canadian white male, which sounds, if you say it like that, it sounds like a form of goose. Yeah.
Well, if you don't know.
Yeah, right. Everybody calls him Kermit the Frog. Even on the intellectual dork web, everybody calls him Kermit because he's got that kind of no, gosh, no, it's just no.
I don't know why I'm crying.
No. Anyways, welcome to the show, Texas Paul, Boston Brian. It's so exciting to have you guys with me today. So let's just go straight across the board. Instant thoughts on the mugshot and the turn-in yesterday. I'm sure you guys watched it live. Texas Paul, have at it first. What was your reaction right out of the gate?
Oh man, yesterday was wonderful, man. I mean, I celebrated all of yesterday biblically. I mean, it was just
right.
I mean, watching it I watched the whole thing from his plane taking off to his plane landing. MSNBC covered it all, and I don't know, man. Everybody's like, well, why are you giving him news coverage? I'm like, well, shit, this is the stuff I want to watch, man. This is what I want to watch. But as far as the mugshot's concerned, yeah, that was a grift. He planned that. He practiced that. Sure. He had those shirts available way too. You want to see a mugshot? Look at Trevia and Cootie's mugshot. You can smell the psycho on that mugshot. That is amazing. I mean, she is. Whew.
Yeah. There's a lot of that. What is the Peters, the woman who helped Mike Pillow, like she escaped. She ran from Colorado and he was hiding or whatever. And like her mugshot looks like she's like she's walking down the stairs waiting for her close up. She said, I can say anything with my eyes. Most of these folks would have to be nuts to follow him. Now we've had news that one of them is turned already two of them in the last 48 hours, but one in the last 24 hours, and finally, has said, all right, fuck this. What do you need to know? I gotta put an end to this. I'm not going to jail for this dickhead.
Oh yeah, he found out that his lawyer was actually trying to help Donald Trump's intentions instead of his. You know what I mean? Right. He didn't have his back. He had Donald Trump's back.
Well, that was the tech, the IT guy, who in the indictment you can see was really not on board with the plan. If anything, he was the Mike Pence in this situation. I might work here, but I'm not going to throw my fucking entire life under the bus for this dickhead, right?
Yeah, but you got Stanley Woodward that's just screwed over that situation because, I mean, Yuscol Tavares, went in to that grand jury and lied his ever-loving ass off back in March. Forgive my language. I'm sorry. I don't know what's wrong with you, Alan. Yeah, but he went and lied his
and you're allowed. Yeah.
Unlike his radio show.
Yeah, yes. And then.
Unlike Boston Brian, who says shit twice on the radio like a heathen. Poor fella. So yeah, it's all right. It's totally all right.
Yeah, man. But Tavares went in there, lied his ass off to the grand jury. I mean, he's no babe in the woods. He knew what he was doing. I mean, nobody forgets in the middle of this climate that Donald Trump came to you and asked you to delete video footage. I mean, and I don't care if it came through De Oliveira. I don't care who it came through or how. You don't forget that. So to sit and say, this just doesn't ring a bell with me. I don't know for the life of me. What are you talking about?
Ma'am, if I may, can we, because the videotape was actually rolling, maybe this will refresh your memory. If they play the tape of them with flashlights in the fucking thing. Yeah, that's a camera. That's it. That's what that is. Yeah. There's one in there too. I found another one. Olivera, come here. Yeah, see this?
Yeah.
God damn, you're right.
The
They literally, I mean, they were shown footage of them walking around and talking about this. Right, that's what everybody's.
Yeah, right. Next thing you know, you see the.
It reminds me of like Spies Like Us, where they're playing the video back of them, and he's like, "Heart attack," and falling on the ground. I am a trained cardiopulmonary resuscitation. This man needs air, and then they cut to the close up, and he's cheating off the test, like literally copying the answers. And he just shuts the TV off, and he's like, "What do we get? Review, suspension, jail, what?"
Well, you know the audio is him going, We gotta kill these cameras because we don't want to get caught and arrested for the crimes that we committed. You might
Wait a minute, they're running now? Right. So, I mean, again, this is one of those things where I have to point to the fact that we all need to be happy about this, honestly, because but for the fact that these guys are idiots, they might have gotten away with it. You know, these guys were caught by the crazy teenagers and their ridiculous dog inside their own head. They're such fuck ups that they couldn't even pull that part. Like, they couldn't even go, you know, let's go take a look where the cameras are, but try not to look exactly where they are, but we'll keep track of that. Somebody bring a yellow pad and we'll look like we're looking at concrete or something and just walk around and go, yeah, there's one up there. See that one?
Or
See
don't
that one
move
right
all the boxes the day before the other people are supposed to come inspect it, you know?
Well, he had to move him back because he's a lazy, dopey son of a bitch. So that's the okay. So we didn't get Boston Brian.
Hey, you know, man. I mean, you're talking about how terrible these guys are at criming. I mean, just how terrible.
Yes.
They move the boxes. Then when they moved them back, they put them in the same shitty spot. I mean,
yes.
you would think that. I mean, you went to all the trouble.
Coke in that Iran document, please.
You would think that they would have like taken that opportunity. You know, maybe we should put these somewhere. I don't know. We're already moving them. Well, put them back in the shitter.
In all fairness, Texas Paul, they were supposed to be in the room, right? They were supposed to be in the room where the lawyer last saw them. In relatively the same area, but they did change the tops, though. Part of the testimony from Waltine was that he bought new tops for the boxes because Trump in his dumb fucking Sharpie fixation wrote top secret, good stuff, sellable, hashtag this'll get me in good with the Saudis. Like, you know, and he'd written something on the top of the fucking boxes like an asshole.
This one holds the real stuff that'll get me locked up forever.
Jesus Christ. I mean, honestly, there's so much to this, but we didn't get Boston Brian's take on the actual mugshot itself. I'm sure you saw the fake one.
I thought it was, like I said, it was all really fairly planned out to begin with. You know what I mean? He had that ready and his height and weight, and I mean, I watched it, but I don't know. I have a problem with it, and I understand the coverage at the same time. It's like, obviously it's an historical moment, so at one point you do want it covered that way. Another way, you don't like the guy, you think he's a son of a bitch, so you don't want him to have the coverage that it comes with it. So it's like it's a give and take. I think the Fulton County Sheriff's full of shit, if I do say so myself, because if you go ask anybody that's ever been arrested in that jail and has been in and out of there in 12 fucking seconds, I'd like to meet the guy, because I don't think it's ever happened, really. So he wasn't treated like every other guy.
That's Epstein treatment right there. That's you know like they give you a key to the you have to do weekends, and we give you a key to the jail in case you need to let yourself out.
And then with the motorcade, it's like, instead of having maybe 2 or 4 or maybe even 6 motorcycles, they could have fucking 75 motorcycles leading the way. It's like it was kind of a show-off event for Fulton County at the same time. I don't know, but I like to see his ass having seen some accountability no matter what. So I think it was a great day.
Well, do you think
anybody says you can't be happy about it, you can't be smiling about it, fuck off. I am.
Right, seriously, super fun. But do you think part of the the reason they had the motorcade and made such a big deal of it, because they didn't. Trump is not very popular in Fulton County, and he almost. I mean, if you think of one person that he's singled out for violence, Ruby Freeman and Shane Moss have been on the receiving end of more direct attacks by this guy, and there are people that know them, lots of people that know them, and people who
how
know
many
that
times
they
did
know.
you say their name directly in that recording?
Yeah, over and over again, like Arizona, whatever, and even the like politicians he named at least have security or have the ability to call the FBI directly and go, okay, we've gotten heightened threats, and it's because it's on their government email more than likely, or their government phone system that they get these threats. But these two, they said Kanye's publicist after him. These people were scared to death. So he's driving through a county full of people who know somebody who's somebody's cousin of Shay Moss or Ruby Freeman, and was like, so do you think it was like they're just being safe and making sure nobody goes, fuck this dude? If he showed up in 3 vans, we could probably pop him like gangsters, like a beef. And
no, I
and
get
so
it. I get it. But like I said, as to the amounts, I mean, you could get him through the city the same way with 6 motorcycles as you could with 60. I mean, at one point, it hinders you more than it helps you get through the city. The more motorcycles that you have, you get through quicker with less.
So it was effectively a show of force.
To be honest, the elephant in the room is that your average Atlanta white male cop, motorcycle cop, is a Trump fan. I mean, they were glad to be there. This was voluntary. I assure you. Nobody said, let's get 37,000 motorcycle cops for this one motorcade that 4 could handle, but let's put 94,860 freaking motorcycles out in front of this damn. No, they were all like, me.
Yeah.
Right. Well, then it's up to the
me.
sheriff to say, no, we're not going to make a spectacle out of this.
Exactly.
Actually, we'll get through faster with less people. You know what I mean? At some point, I don't know. It's just, like I said, I know it's historical significance in one hand, and the other hand, the guy's a cocksucker, and you don't want him to see. You don't want him to get the whatever it looks like, the
attention, the free press,
grandiose arrival. You know what I mean?
Well, he's gonna.
Enough isn't being said either about Trevian Cootie. I'm telling you, I got to burn my saddle about her today.
Sure.
She's a freaking psycho. She went to Ruby Freeman's neighbor's house.
Yeah.
And told the neighbor she was a crisis. She told the neighbor that she lied to the neighbor and said that she was a crisis manager for Ruby Freeman. So tell me all the dirt you got so I can get ahead of it and you can help your neighbor. I mean, she's a psycho, man. She is.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find the pic. Yeah, her headshot does look like something out of. Let's see, I gotta change these.
Did you see Marjorie Taylor Greene put out her tweet with her face and looking like it's a mugshot of the same?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. They kind of gotta. You know what I mean? Like there's no other way to handle it in this modern media sphere, right? At all, is that you've just got to be a complete jerk. Like you got to sell it. You got to go. I meant to do. I meant to do that presidency. That's all of Trump's stuff.
Like they're trying to water down the significance almost. You know what I mean? If they can flood the market with their own shirts and their own cups, they'll think that we won't think it's meaningful at some point, so we won't do it.
Exactly. This is, by the way, the Trevian Cootie's mugshot. Yeah, she's trying to look. She went full Joker on that one. Yeah, she's just like which is
I feel like they all did the same thing. They all knew that these mugshots were going to be used everywhere, so they would, the same thing Jenna Ellis did. She's now got that that's her profile picture on Shitter. You know what I mean? So they had it all planned out, knowing that they were going to try to use it probably to get money for their defense fund or whatever they're they're raising, their GoFundMe's and whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But I mean, you have a lot of these folks. This is a massive undertaking by the Fulton County, DA and their investigatory body, and the interesting thing is everybody is going like she's ready to go in October. She's ready to go with this case, largely because it's been 2 fucking years. They know what the details are. A lot of these people have been deposed.
Do you have any worries that it's too much though at all?
No, I don't,
because they're small. No.
No, because
simple, straightforward charges. This is an easy case. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not a hard.
No, I just mean the amount of people involved and the amount of interactions that has to happen between.
Well, the only issue a DA would have in this situation is if any of them individually have exculpatory evidence where they told someone in good faith that's a government official or on tape or someplace that I'm just bullshitting these folks. This is never going to work, but I think I can get a job this way. Now, that won't get them out of the charge of, what they're going through the way they think it would. But if they were like doing it and then informing, they could probably weasel their way out of going, no, they asked me to do this and that was a line too far. When setting up the fake electors, for example. So you set up the fake electors, there was a point where having electors ready in case the count goes the other way is totally cool. The problem is, and this is why like Ari Melber, if you look at his like red light, green light, or his green light, yellow light, red light thing about the crimes that they committed, why the elector scheme goes from green to yellow to red across the entire thing is because it is like, and they bring up this Hawaii case. Remember the Hawaii case that they kept bringing up around Kennedy? And they're like, Democrats brought fake electors to when Kennedy won. Well, it was decided by 147 votes. The belief was on the ground that once there was a recount, it was going to go towards the Democrats anyways, even as narrow as it was. And it indeed did. The electors that were certified, that were in holy, but they still had the Republican electors there in case it didn't. But they sent the Democrats because they believed it was going to go one. If it went the other way, they would have gone, we as the state of Hawaii remove our 3, and it goes the other way, and it would have been a big news deal. But they were still doing the recount at that point. But it was done, and it turned over. It was 147 votes. This is 11,780 votes in Georgia alone. And all these other states, there was just thousands and thousands. There's no way he was going to fucking overtake this. They tried again and again and again. The issue that
they've got the communications where they knew they didn't win. I mean, that makes a huge difference in all of this. When you confess that that you're trying to steal an election that you admittedly lost, and really the speedy trial thing is only cheese, bro. I mean, it's only cheese, bro. I'm never calling him chess, bro. I'm never doing it.
That's
cheese,
that guy,
bro.
Yeah, that's that guy right there.
The worst attorney in the history of all attorneys.
Well, maybe for Eastman, who, but both of them were, he was volleying it up and Eastman would spike it over the fence. Is that over the net is the way they looked at it. This guy also, they need to check his crawl space. He's one of the fake electors. This guy, I'm sorry. That's just that guy right there. There's bones there. I'm just saying that just weirds me out. And Trump, like you can tell, some of them are like lean into it. So they all got the same advice. Put your head forward like a headshot. Make sure they talk to their media people. So make sure you put your head forward so they don't see your nunt. And you can tell.
Vigo the Carpathian reference is the fucking best.
Oh my God, so many of these pictures. It's so great. And Trump thought this would be such a slam dunk.
Oh
and
my God.
I mean, why does this come back to like my weird noise? And thank you guys for supporting the show. Oh, I know why it is, because I'm in studio mode. I love you guys. There we go. People love the show, and with you guys on it, and that's why we're getting so many of these crossovers. I've turned off my alert box thing, and it still just just makes a noise.
We can't hear it, so you just look.
Yeah, I hear it, but it goes. Yeah,
we're the only one screwed here now, so just keep going, man. All
right,
Brian and I'll keep running.
Thank you. Yeah. It's just like I'm being struck by lightning. Yeah, just momentarily. I'm having this like ischemic strokes, all caused by alert box sound effects, because I'm worried about my chat room getting blasted out. They hear it, so.
Don't feel bad. My cat took out my whole show last week, so literally, my cat. My producer cat, Dolly Parton, was at my feet, and I accidentally stepped on her. She jumped up, hit all of my power cables, and stepped on the power button. And my battery is shit. And I've got a brand new laptop. Yeah. My battery is shit. Will not take a charge. So I didn't know she hit the power button, and I've got like 30 seconds of time after I lose power. So I'm sitting there talking, and all of a sudden, frozen screen.
I feel you. I understand you probably better than anyone. And I will bring in Chip at some point, and we will mate them with Dolly Parton. I will, We'll create a special breed of cat whose only job is to destroy broadcasts, and we will release them, the kittens, into the studio of 60 Minutes in Russia. And you'll have Solovyev running around going, "What the fucking cats?" So, I figured out. I understand what it is now. Whenever I go to my studio mode, when I have to pick another screen with you guys, that's when it comes up and I can hear it, and that's the bed. So I'm fine. I'm totally fine now. That said, all right. So we have many?
Sorry, I was going to say, did you see the letter that the House Republicans sent over to Fani Willis?
Yes.
Jimmy Jordan.
Yeah, asking for any information if federal funds were spent on the election, is like, because that's the only in he can have. He has no control over this whatsoever. So I mean, it's just they have to do something, because can you imagine the fucking phone calls they're getting?
This will be their little alternate date that they have for all the Trump indictments. They'll now say that whatever information comes from this or whatever doesn't, that's what they were trying to hide by indicting him this time. You know, that stupid calendar they have, like, okay,
right.
He was indicted. This is what they were covering up. They indicted him. This is what they were covering up, so they indicted him. And like,
yeah, except
they need something.
What were they trying to cover this time? The fact that Joe Biden was at a Pilates class? Is that what? That was the.
He doesn't look good without a shirt on, Hal. He doesn't like what he looks like on the beach.
Yeah, Trump.
I think they're trying to distract from the fact that Biden's killing it in Hawaii. I mean, the federal government's been there on that. As soon as this happened, Joe Biden said, "Do not screw this up, people."
You know why that is? Texas problem,
yeah.
Right? You know why that is? It's because they were covering up that sex child trafficking ring that the government was supposedly
there's
running.
A whole base underground.
That's why they actually had to hit that place with the weapons that they hit it with, so that they could go in and get the subterranean tunnels out of the way before the CIA, Oprah, and the deep state came in to something. I forget where it goes from there, but
it doesn't have to go anywhere. You can just leave it there. That's great. That's the best part about these kind of things, is that all you have to do is, like Roseanne, just peter out into craziness.
And
that's what I heard. That's when they guys go down to Africa and they eat the children there because they don't have Roundup there and the livers taste better. And that's what she actually fucking said that. She actually fucking said that. And then just, and then her son picks up and goes, yep. And that's it. That's the whole conversation. Fucking hell. All right. So
and it's all of them, because Fox News has kids pooping in cat boxes again. I mean, it's just everywhere. Right. Every area that is Republican, I remember when they took lead out of gas. Hal, you remember that?
Yes.
Were you young enough? You remember?
Oh yeah,
it was because it was going to make everybody just you know what? I think they moved a little late, because there's just a lot of people out there that are just not in touch with. You have that, one of Fox is supposed to be serious reporters talking about, kids are identifying as cats and they're forcing the schools to give them litter boxes to poop in.
Right.
Hey, give me a break, man. Well, I mean, what reality do you people live in?
Also, why do we think that they actually care about? These are the people who are trying to kill Head Start and school lunches. Honest to God, like I don't just keeping kids fed. Just go like, hunger is a great motivator, Paul, Brian. If a kid isn't starving, how is he ever going to get motivated to make himself better if his parents are shitty and broke and drug addicted and that kind of stuff? What you think us feeding him once a day is going to change the path of his life? He's got to pull him up by his bootstraps. Meanwhile, the kid's like, is that a cat box? That's what I use at home. Fuck you. Get away from the lunch table. You don't have a ticket. I don't understand that part of it either. It's like they all of a sudden Trump cares about Social Security, for example, because allegedly DeSanctimonious is going to defund it or some shit. Like cut it, because every Republican wants to do that, and of course that's what he wants to do, and of course that's the biggest albatross around Trump's neck with Republican voters, is he's backed into this corner because he doesn't like DeSantis. He's not going to cut Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, although nobody believes him. But then they're going to think they gave a shit about old people during COVID or whatever the next problem is, whatever the next big illness is. I don't get it. I don't get the faux outrage.
No, I'm
Yeah, and
sure it
these
aligned up.
idiots.
Somehow it
Yeah.
aligned up with one of what Trump's probably best friend said, where it's probably not a good thing to say. And then they found out that DeSantis had voted against it or wants to do it, and it became like something that he's really happy about. They're saying that he has no idea what he's talking about, but he just knows it goes against what DeSantis likes, and that people around the country don't like it.
Well, so he ended up killing the basically all our protections that we would have had against COVID and the spread of it. Because it had Obama's name on it. This is how he is such a reactionary because he's so ignorant about anything. All he could do is go, if I don't like that person, then whatever they do, whatever it is, I'm against it. He's literally a Groucho Marx joke from the 30s.
And it's worth reminding people that Obama left him a textbook that said, in case of disease, do this.
Right.
Do this, I mean, and they're like, oh, that's got Obama's name on it. Throw that in the trash. We're not going to use that.
They burnt.
Yeah.
I have the best responses.
Right.
The best
everything.
responses.
The best words.
I mean,
right. Well, the issue and we'll, I mean, if we can get into like sort of real stories, other than the fact that Texas, Paul, you're in Texas right now, and I fear for you right now, largely for a couple reasons, but not the least of which is that Kat Kamak from Florida. Whoops, we lost Brian in there. If you could see him right there, that's Kat Kamak, Kat Kamak, or whatever.
I thought they hated Lizzo too.
Yeah,
they were really anti-Lizzo. These people.
And yet they have their own, I guess. Well, this would be their white Lizzo, right? That would make it okay. Although Lizzo didn't turn out to be all that great. Have you seen the stories about how she treats her dancers and all that kind of shit? I was like, that was,
That's why they like her now.
Oh, right, sure, right. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, it's like, wait a minute. She treats people like garbage.
Us, I guess, right?
Yeah, she treats her employees like shit. Maybe, hold on. Maybe she could do a hip hop version of Richmond from Richmond County or whatever. Richmond.
Boy, he went under the, Oliver went under the bus quick, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he came out for diversity and was basically did simply and honestly probably I have black friends, and that was enough. That was like, they went after it. For people that don't know, there's this this song that instantly became, it was like on fucking fire among the right. Glenn Beck, I almost covered one of his videos. We just never got to it because I didn't have time. Glenn Beck did a video about that music video saying, and the title of it was, "This is not allowed." Like the country's going to shut it down. Like the liberals are going to kill this guy. He's going to be destroyed. And then within 48 hours, the right canceled him because he wasn't sufficiently racist or bigoted enough for them. I mean, cancel culture, it's a hashtag cancel culture. It's pitiful.
It's all projection. Every bit of it.
So
accuse the other side of what you are guilty of. That way it confuses everybody who really doesn't pay attention to the fullest.
I love that meme that's going around. I love that meme that's going around that says, if your history is history class and everybody else's history is an elective, that's white privilege. I mean, that would...
It's an elective.
I shouldn't laugh about it. I don't mean to laugh about it, but that is spot on, man.
Well, I remember when history class got turned into social studies, because it was a mix of things. Because it was like well, we don't have enough kids for civics class, and we don't have enough kids for history class. They get bored by both. So maybe if we mix history and civics together and call it social studies, and we'll
I had social studies before history. The young kids took social studies, and then in high school we got to history.
That's right.
I don't know what the hell the difference is.
That's where you break out into, you actually have you have math class for a long time until you get to geometry, algebra, trig, and all that kind of stuff. They break it out once you're more interested and you can pick. And that's where, out into college. But in the narrow of it, which is when they're talking about it, they're talking about elementary school and middle school especially, you slam these classes together into one kind of soup of, where the teacher can kind of semi-randomly get on, creative discussions to get the kids interested. I don't remember them trying to get me interested. I just remember them trying to teach me shit, whether I liked it or not. I think that might be the problem. I appreciate you trying to get people involved, but I don't know that you can be involved in learning something you're not totally interested in that you need to learn, right? By the way,
Plus,
trivia.
it took me till I got a lot older to be interested in any of the shit that I was trying to be taught at that age. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like now I'm interested in it. Then I wasn't. So if going back, I would have honestly been more apt to listen to this stuff now.
Right. And again, let's see. Hold on one second. I've got to open this.
Could you imagine being a social studies teacher now in today's environment? You'd have to be more nervous than a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs.
Seriously.
Man. Because I mean, you say the wrong sentence, brother, and you are done. You're going to have Planned Parenthood standing outside your.
Right.
It's just I feel for teachers these days, man. I really do.
Yeah, and by the way, this has been making the rounds.
Oh, Jesus.
It's pretty much a deadlock. That's pretty close. I mean, it's like an audition.
Smell the psycho in that picture.
It's like an audition headshot. That's amazing. But interesting. It's like her if she had Trump's real hair.
Jesus.
and if his caked on makeup was white instead of orange. But basically, good Lord. And you know what? Between you and me, this is exactly the kind of person you would expect to work for Kanye West. You know what I mean?
Actually, it explains a lot about Kanye. I mean, the guy, just if he's surrounded with people like her, I mean, he's got to be. I mean, imagine because we're all subject to our own feedback loop. If we don't reach out to get other information, we're always subject to our own feedback loop. Could you imagine that nutball being your feedback loop? Man, my God.
Right.
I love how Trump's eyes were so bloodshot. He actually looked like he smoked in the parade going into the jail. And then when he was on Greg Kelly's show, it just so happened Greg Kelly asked how he was sleeping lately.
Oh yeah, I mean? just
and then Trump's response, of course, was, "Oh, sleep like a baby." Yeah, you look like you do, but you look like you got a good 8 hours last night.
You cry all night and shit yourself. Yeah, it sounds like sounds about right. I thought
it was funny because Greg Kelly must have picked up on the fact that he looks like shit to even slip in that question, because that's just another one of those like ridiculously easy softball propagandist questions. How have you been sleeping, Mr. President? You look so good.
Okay.
Do you really think it's hit home for him yet? I mean, he is going. I mean, these charges have minimum jail time.
Yes.
So he is going to. You think it's hit home?
Well, no, because that's why he fired his attorney. I think he fires anybody who tells him the bad news. And that attorney more than likely said, look, this is a serious day. You got to treat it seriously. And if you say any of the shit you're talking about saying, they're going to add time. They're going to add months and years to your sentence because
I think all you have to do is look at his Truth Social, honestly.
Yes.
The shit that he says on there, and just anybody that would take the shit, anybody that knows how much trouble he's in and is taking it seriously would absolutely not say any of the stuff that he says on that.
Well,
it's just ridiculous.
If traditionally you found a way, if you thought there was a way out on a legit sense, like if you thought you had a case, of course not. If you didn't think like, well, fuck it, I'm guilty. This is the PR version of kill the witness. Because at this point, what difference does it make? At his age, at the charges he's looking at, the only option he has is if there's some extraordinary act that gets like this Hail Mary, get the charges thrown out.
It's like a public. There has to be some sort of public, like display of outrage so big that it just makes everybody say, "Okay, we're dropping it," so that we don't experience such and such or whatever. Which obviously is not going to happen. But I feel like he believes that's his last option at this point, is to stoke so much chaos and violence and hope people cause so much violence in his name to try to get him out of this, that at some point they just say, it's not worth it.
Yeah, I honestly,
which is not going to happen.
No, it isn't. He on Truth Social. Whoops, hold on, wrong page. 1 second, so we can see Boss Brian too. There you go. On Truth Social, he's just reposting like mad. He's retruthing pictures of that other people are posting, like memes. He's just all day, every fucking day. He's either got somebody just like he's probably got a staff member doing it.
A lot of them are pro QAnon accounts too. Like one that he posted the other day talking about how Obama was Hitler's great grandson or something, and how Angela Merkel was Obama's aunt, who was actually Hitler's granddaughter or some bullshit like that. Like that's the shit that he's reposting and amplifying nowadays.
Right.
Because like I said, he's trying to reach out to every fringe group in the Republican side to try to gain that last little bit of support, and hopefully these crazies will stoke some sort of, chaos. Like I said, that's his.
Well, and
it's not going to happen. That's what he thinks. Like he has that power. He thinks he has that power.
And it may be his in his mind his only shot, because and quite frankly, a lot of the elected officials, whereas they might not buy into this on on the merits, might get so afraid of one of these nutballs popping off that they're like, we got to stop this. We got to tamp this down. I'm getting hundreds of calls, and people are going to,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're going to shoot up something. And so they'll try to head it off at the pass and hope they can talk, sense into the, into the judicial system to not go after this guy in the same way that like he's a fucking cartel head. Effectively, that's where we are. I mean, look at how the cartels react when Mexico picks up one of the cartel heads. That's what Trump is like clamoring.
That's what he wants. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you've got Sarah Palin coming out. Well, this is how you get yourself a civil war. Well, no, some of us have actually read history books, and we know the way you get yourself a civil war is when you let somebody like Trump steal your democracy, and then and I don't say it flippantly. I'm not like Sarah Palin or these right-wing Tim Pool, where it's been civil war time for the longer than the actual civil war.
We're in a cold civil war. That's my favorite one. Like, get the fuck out of here.
But literally they're saying, well, if you prosecute him, you'll get a civil war, which is actually the exact opposite of actual history, where if you let somebody steal your democracy, and you have a vast majority of the country, 70% of the country, who has lost their ability to participate in it, that's how you get a civil war.
Yes.
I mean, not by prosecuting the coup people.
Maybe and maybe the weirdest part about this is, and I think the best chance our democracy has as a hope, is that at the Republican debate, one of the elements that was abundantly clear is that while a bunch of these dickheads said, yes, I would vote for Trump if he ran again, what they really mean is,
what the fuck was Christie doing?
Chris Christie? Well, no, he waved it off.
Was that a hand raise? Was that a finger down?
No, he went, not me. He did that, was the theory, but from his point of view. But ultimately, it didn't matter, because what they're really just trying to, and this is why he had a mixed moment, was they're trying to tell the Trump voters that I'll do everything he did. I won't do it in this idiotic, ineffective way that he did. And it won't be him, but I'm a good stand-in for him. That's what Vivek Ramaswamy was trying to do. That's what they have to sell to even get the base out there. I mean, this is effectively the worst possible Bernie bro situation that the Republicans could ever find themselves in, where they're just absolutely flag in the ground Trumpers that are about the man, not even the policy, not about, because he's their pit bull. He's going to attack the right people. I don't give a shit if he shakes the baby, just as long as he bites the right person if they come in the yard. And that's all they fucking care about.
I think they're grooming Vivek to be VP for Trump, because I don't
think it happens though. There's no way that group of people, especially Trump's old, that they know part of their brain's going, if he croaks.
That's what I know. But it's just strange that the way that there's absolutely nobody on that side, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, it's the one person that they have refused the whole time to attack. It's the one person that Trump has made a point of highlighting every single turn that he gets. He even said it last night.
Because they know the Republican Party in general will not vote for a non-white candidate as their primary candidate. It's not going to happen. They couldn't do. Nikki Haley has a white-sounding name, and for all practical purposes is your standard American girl in that regard. She might as well be Sarah Palin insofar as her upbringing, but she is not white, and therefore that's what has kept her out of anywhere but the stiff-armed world of Republican. Like, we might use her as VP, as this kind of like, see how inclusive we are? We said might, but they're not going to. They're not. And there's no fucking way a non-white person becomes the Republican nominee. It's not now. Maybe in 50 years if the party still exists, or if it switches places and changes its name and becomes the Whig again. But
I'm just surprised DeSantis didn't break his neck. How quick he was looking around to see who was going to raise their hand when they asked,
oh my God,
vote for Trump. He couldn't get his head around quick enough to see that.
And another thing that keeps Vivek out of the running is he will not shut his mouth and keep saying things that are provably false. I mean, have you ever heard the guy talk about China and Russia and
that doesn't stop
his foreign policy information? And the worst of all, not only is he a Wall Street bro, he's the worst kind of Wall Street bro. He's a pharma Wall Street bro.
Yeah.
If they put him on the ticket, it would be like a gift from God to we Democrats, because I mean, it would just punch him in the face daily with everything that he does and says wrong. I mean,
but I feel like you do that to them all the time anyways, and it just, you know what I mean? It doesn't get through to them. It gets through to the people on our side, but they don't give a shit because we come at them with facts every day.
Well, if you look at who we're talking about, and there are only a couple of non-white people. I don't want to harp on this too much, but there's only a couple of non-white people that are surrogates for Trump or the Republican MAGA, the MAGA side of the Republican world. It's arguably Tim Scott is the soft version, and Byron Donalds is the hard version, right? He goes full MAGA, and Tim Scott's trying to be good for the general election, essentially. And those are the two biggest, like kind of non-white professional, like actual politicians who were elected to office who speak on behalf of it. And neither one of them is getting anywhere near a cabinet position or any of that stuff under Trump.
Yeah. Byron Donalds is a pardoned felon. He's not.
Yeah. And the same thing is true of Vivek. The reason that they can boost him is because they know he's not going anywhere. It's the same thing with Sarah Palin.
Maybe they think he's the easiest person to beat. You know what I mean? It's the person they have the best case against, so they
lift him up and go, do you really want to vote for that? That's essentially the plan for everybody but Nikki Haley. And Nikki Haley's just running because she thinks she can actually win, and she actually believes in conservative values to some degree, and she actually wants to be president, and she could I don't know.
It's just weird to me because Trump's not the usual lift somebody up to smack him down. He'd usually just smack him down type guy. You know what I mean?
No, I mean the other people who are there. Because like I said, I think a lot of them are doing this whole of course I'd support him, and absolutely, and this is a travesty, and they don't believe it at all. They know he's fucking guilty. They know that we shouldn't have a felon in the fucking White House. They think it's ridiculous, but they also know that those voters don't know that, or at least don't allow themselves to know that. And if they want to get elected, if they want to win the primary for sure, but if they want to, have any shot, they got to get all Republican voters, because there are fewer Republican voters than there are Democratic voters by numbers, period, end of fucking story. So you need a third of Democratic voters not to show up. And you need all Republican voters to show up for a 1-to-1, person-to-person, vote-for-vote matchup to get you even at parity. And they know this. So you have to have, we could shed some faux-gressives and some freaks and some people like the Democratic Socialists split crowd and all that stuff, or some left-leaning independents. We can shed some of those as long as our base and our focused Democrats and the coalition that's been built over time shows up and just does the fucking voting. That's why Biden had so many fucking votes, is because he got those people plus. That's what the 11% lead by independents that Biden has right now, why it scares the living shit out of everybody. That's why, Crispy, I'm sorry. I do not call him Chris Crispy off the air. I don't.
Say cream after that, I was going to die.
Yeah, right. Don't. That's why he goes on, because we're going to lose. If Donald Trump is the guy, we're going to lose. And the reason he says that is because he might bring the maggots, but he's going to lose the other ones. He's going to lose the other half. And you can't afford to lose anybody. And that's why they're all cowards. That's why they have to. That's why they all have
I thought it was relatively uneventful, the whole debate, honestly. You know what I mean? Nothing really special. You knew what to expect coming from all the miles out of all of them. And it really wasn't. It was like, what's that scene in Wedding Crashes? Not Wedding Crashes, but The Hangover, where he's describing the father. He calls him a big bowl of mush or something, white rice.
Right. I said it was fluff.
I loved the applause lines, though. as a ride or die Democrat, I
Yeah.
love the applause lines because, like, sure, they would boo Chris Christie, but there was enough people applauding when he got done talking for me to know that party's fractured.
Yep.
And when they go into the election, they're going to be fractured.
It's going to
And if
matter.
Democrats just show the hell up and vote,
Right.
not only are we going to win this election, we're going to win a substantial majority in the House. We're going to win a substantial majority in the Senate if you just take this opportunity and show the hell up and vote. They're falling apart before your very eyes.
They all
take advantage
at
of
one
it.
point, I feel like, one or another. You know, each of the candidates got a pretty good boo at one point with something that they said.
Well, the problem is, if you're going to have any chance at the general, you're going to have to say something relatively sensible at some point, and the maggot crowd are going to hate it.
What's that?
Just anything, you know, like we might need to negotiate on on drug prices and that kind of stuff. Half of them are going to go boo. Like communism, like that's it. You can get, and that it's so weird. Like, because again, I love boring politics. I think it's a good sign when politics. It used to be called showbiz for ugly people, and the reason was because it was like people who don't deserve the limelight seeking a little bit of limelight to get their issue, their district, their money, their pork barrel projects through, whatever. But ultimately, it was just kind of, it humped by in the background for most of us. The rest of our lives, it was definitely foundational because we live under the Constitution and it protects all of our lives, whether we know it or not. Like the stoplights and stop signs in the rest of the city we take for granted, right? But looking forward, I mean, do you think the get out the vote is there? Because I know how I have my feelings. I'm curious about you guys. That Democrats showing up next time with Roe v. Wade and Dodd, and whether it's Trump, which it probably will be, but if he doesn't drop out, in which case it's going to be like a dogfight between Ramaswamy and DeSantis, which is hilarious. I mean, what's the motivating factor? How do we, what's your thoughts on the show up next year?
I mean, one definitely good thing that I think Trump has done is he's definitely gotten a lot of people off their asses and into the voting booths. You know what I mean? Where they either weren't voting before or only on the fringes or only paid attention a little. I think that's one good thing that has come from him is a lot of people realize there's no way we can continue in this direction. There's no way we can have somebody like that as the president of this United States again and think that we can continue to be, functionally the democracy of the world. You know what I mean? It's just not possible. We can't do it. And, luckily enough people have noticed it and continue to notice it, especially where he's sitting in the polls as much as he is. As funny as I think it is that he brags about 60 or 50 or 60% where he won with 95% of the Republican vote.
Right.
So he's already lost 30 or 40%. But anyways, that's regardless of the point. But yeah, I mean, I think that's one good thing. A lot of people have been motivated by him and will continue to stay motivated as long as he's in the picture, and anybody below him that continues to espouse the same thing is in the picture. Right. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, I don't mean to blow my own horn here, or,
please do
preach to the choir or whatever you want to say. But, back in 2016, we weren't doing this.
Yes.
We weren't. And now we are. This makes a difference. When I first showed up on social media, it was high-minded Democrats talking about, well, our policies are definitely better. And they're like, yeah, but you're a commie dick. And they were like, but I'm not going to go low like that. And we're going to talk about school lunches. And we ended up getting our asses handed to us because we didn't realize we were in the fight. And now people I don't know if you've noticed this, but all over social media, the attitude has changed. I mean, people are like, screw you. We're not.
Yeah. The worm has turned and is now packing an Uzi, as the line goes. I agree. I mean, I've said all along that there are certain weaknesses within the Republican Party, and they show them to you right away, which is how they attack you. How they attack you is their biggest fear, their biggest weakness, because that's how they project. That must be that person's biggest weakness. And the most obvious one is Trump talking about Afghanistan, saying it's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened in the United States. And that's when you can realize in a moment that while this man has no shame whatsoever, he's easily embarrassed. You can embarrass this man. And it scares the living shit out of him. That he'll be embarrassed, that he'll be made to look weak. And that's why I don't think he likes the mugshot as much as he's playing tough. And I don't think he's enjoying this for the press, and it makes him an outlaw, and fuck that. Younger Trump in the 80s might have been able to bullshit himself for a few weeks. Old man Trump, nope. Doesn't feel that way. And when he says embarrassed, that's what he's afraid of. So there was one point where he started using the word dope about everything. Like they look at me like I'm a dope. They treat me like a dope or whatever. There's one phrase.
It's embarrassingly outrageous.
Right.
Here
or
I am like an idiot.
That one. Here I am like an idiot.
Here I am like an idiot.
He said that during one of the rallies, right before the election, where he's having to do a lot of these rallies to get out the vote, and he never thought he'd had to. He was totally confused. He didn't understand. Why is this guy beating me? Because he's beating on policies and he's not taking your shit. And you're hilarious. If people are allowed to mock you, and that's why in this show, I'm not going by any means, I try to steer clear of my angrier impulses. They come out occasionally. I'm human. And I'm like Biden, I'm largely Irish. So there's a bunch of that, bubbling under the surface. But I believe, and I think you guys are dead on about this when I watch your programming. And by the way, I want everybody to follow Texas Paul and Boston Brian on all their socials and view all their videos and cycle them out and pass them along, if you will. Please share them, because this is the best assault we can do on this ideology, which is to mock it into oblivion. For all the fuck your feelings attitude that these folks have had, the reality is they're a bunch of paper tigers at best, and and I would say used tissue paper tigers, most of them, and especially Trump, but everybody else. And if you push back at all, you're not afraid of what they call you or what they assert, or you can take a joke and move on. And not just, it's not, they expect all pearl clutching. And if you don't give it to them, and then you can make fun of them, especially when you can hammer them with facts and as the wadding in that particular ammo, they have no comeback. You could see it again and again and again and again and again. And
I think that's why Fox gets so mad when they see us laughing or joking or jovial.
Yes.
Or really happy about when Trump sees accountability.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I got a little delay there. I'm sorry about that, Brian.
No,
I
go ahead.
apologize.
No, go for it. Go for it. I think that's
to double down on,
it goes to what you're saying. Yeah, absolutely.
To double down on what you're saying there, Hal, about how sharing this has an effect. Jim Jordan and the shit that he's trying to pull used to work. It used to work, because you had a Republican corporate media that would sit there and they would say, "Oh man, did you see this?" And they would put it on 24/7.
Right.
Everything that Jim Jordan had to say. And it used to work. And the Republicans cannot figure out for the life of them why this isn't working anymore. And it's not working anymore because people are listening to us. Yeah. And I mean, again, I don't mean to blow my own horn, but people are listening to us. They're
I have no problem blowing my own horn. It can hurt your lower back, but everybody has to try it at least once just to prove themselves. I'm kidding. That's a Joe Rogan joke. But in reality, though, we do have to kind of learn. I think it's interesting you say I don't want to blow my own horn in this, because I think that has previously been our issue on the Democratic side, is that you don't want too much ego in it, because it's embarrassing and weak to be seen as fully egotistical and all about yourself and all that stuff. And by the way, there's a thirst in lieu of good leadership, or in lieu of the appearance of leadership. People will take ego and loudness as an exchange. And that's where Trump fit in a lot of ways. While someone's trying to be sensible, if you're convinced that there's an emergency going on, if you think there's a real emergency, whether there is or not, if you think there's an emergency, the person going this way is going to get more attention to go, everybody calm down. It's going to be okay. It's not necessarily an emergency. We're going to have to solve this. But just, you're going to listen to, go, we got to go. Like, people are going to run out a fucking door. There was a psychological test they did years ago, and they were like, how many people does it take to leave, to get everyone to stampede out of a theater in if there's believing there's a fire when there is not. And they were like, well, the number turned out to be 5 because everybody's facing the same direction. And the idea is that if it's on stage, it's different. But if you could tell everybody to go. But if 5 people strategically placed get up and get the fuck out, 2 people around them who are more inclined, right? Go, Brian, go. You're in Boston, though. You're totally acclimated to that noise. But 2 people around them will be in the percentage that will leave if somebody else leaves. And then and that's 3 people who have now left from that section. And then there are a group of people who will leave if 3 people leave. And then there are a group of people who will leave if 7 or 10 people leave. And then in a matter of seconds, that cascade is enough to get the entire theater to fucking bug
people
out.
Are jumping over chairs by 2 minutes
stomp
in.
each other to death, getting the fuck out of there because 5 people got up and fucking panicked, right? Because these people are so assertive in getting the fuck out of there. There must be something going on. It's the same thing when people stand on the street. If you look up at the sky, eventually people will start gathering around and start looking up at the sky, like a bunch of fucking turkeys about to be struck by lightning. It's a psychological effect because why would you be standing there looking up if there wasn't anything there? And that is MAGA right now. Most people will look for a couple minutes and go, ask, what the fuck are you looking at? I'm not looking at anything. I'm just seeing how many people will keep looking up. And you're like, that's hilarious. You want me to help? And then you start looking up. There's nothing there, but you're joining in with this dickhead's gag, right? That's fine too. But at least you're doing it consciously. MAGA is a bunch of people who are like, there must be something there. He was looking. He was staring right at the eclipse. The Lord's coming back. It's the rapture. You know what? The Lord. I don't want to have the Lord have to bother taking off my clothes. I'm just going to strip them off right here. So,
yeah, but how the advantage we have in that situation is now that we're getting loud and proud and getting out there.
Yeah,
we don't lie.
That's true.
We don't lie.
Yeah,
we have the facts. We have the truth,
right? And
the attitude on our side. We cannot lose if we just get out there and speak it and just really tell people the way it is. I mean, I get pushback all the time because one of the things I always say is we are better people than Republicans are, and people are like, well, you can't say that. That's just bullshit. We are better people than they are. Fact check me, please.
Right.
I mean, that is changing the political landscape.
Yeah. And by the way, being a Republican is not a skin color. It is not an immutable characteristic. You can stop being one. That phrase, when you say it, is like saying we are better than people who drive through large groups of people in their car. Not that I'm comparing all Republicans to that, but I'm just saying it's a behavior-based situation, not a skin color. But then the reason that those people might react, do you think it's because these are the folks that are, because you and I are Dem ride or dies because it's actually easy and it's in line with our values. And I, of course, mean when I mean Dem, I mean with Brian. But a lot of them voted for Trump because they got an R on the jersey. Right? That's it. That's all that matters. Like I don't care if Michael Vick does anything to dogs. I just want to win the Super Bowl. And
James O'Brien on the LBC over in UK calls it footballification, where it's like, because you see one guy wearing your jersey, you're going to do everything you possibly can to defend against, a defense against that, anybody attacking that, just because that's your home team or, the team that you like rooting for, where in reality, that the guy you on your team just, he traveled or he threw an incomplete pass. The guy didn't really catch it, but they gave
Pats
it to you anyway.
fans. You're describing Pats fans, man.
No, stop it. We went this whole fucking time.
Hey, dude,
but really,
I'm a Texans fan. I take enough shit already, okay?
Right. No, don't worry about it. It's all right. But I just posted something on my YouTube channel about James O'Brien came out today or yesterday more after the mugshot came out. And it's a great explanation of like how other people outside of the United States feel about, the people that still support Donald Trump and how obvious it is to everybody else that it's just bonkers to be following him or thinking that, he should be president of the United States again, or what he did is just in any way not a big deal or anything like that. And he had a really good rant that he went on, so it's worth listening to.
Well, you know, and we're I'm going to wrap up the show right now, and I want to appreciate you guys. I really appreciate you guys coming on. We got to do this more often. I love the idea, and I appreciate both you guys more than you can even know. I love having two guys on who look good in hats because I can't pull it off. If I wear a bill cap, I look like an undercover cop, and if I wear a cowboy hat, I can only do that on stage when I'm doing a song by Bon Jovi or Cinderella. But
I don't know. You look like you were born to wear a straw hat at a country fest concert or something like that.
Especially when we'll get into that later. Yeah, man. Hey, listen here. I ain't got no problem with any of that stuff. And look, when I left Kentucky, I sounded like Elvis for a reason. Okay, and
Brother, if I had your hair, I'd never wear a hat.
Right.
My cowboy hat is so close yet so far away. I can't.
Yeah.
Use it, or else I'd put it on.
Well, no. At one point, we'll do like a cowboy holiday or whatever. We'll figure out. I don't know if it'd be George Bush's retirement day or whatever. We'll figure out a day to wear a hat. But in all honesty, I think the best thing that we can do, and this to turn this from a live stream into a Zoom meeting amongst
into cohorts. A Prigozhin. Is this the Prigozhin of the conversation right now?
That's right. Yeah. Is never get in the same plane together. I think first of all, it's a good idea. Secondly, we all fly separately for the kids. But in all honesty, I think our push to get people to take voting seriously and stick to it, fucking. You know, the long haul. This is a marathon, not a sprint. It takes a long time. If you're half-assing it at midterms and stuff, we should, as the Democrats, I think we should, one of our biggest goals, besides just fucking showing up, is curing that midterm bullshit that's become historical as a genuine project to stop people from going, I don't know, I gave them 2 years. Let's see what happens, because this stuff takes longer than that. And you got to, and if you hedge your mandate at all, you give the other side going, well, they're not even here to back you up. So I don't even know why you'd fight that hard to get this in this bill in the committee meeting, because they're not going to vote for you next month anyways. They're going to give this place to us, and then we could flip it over. And that's exactly what they've been counting on for years. Now, we almost did it this time. We were this close. And I would argue they're going to lose a couple more Republicans, and it's going to even out. They've already lost 2. So their margin is down to 2. One's not showing up for work, and the other one's actually indicted, I think. So if they lose 2 more, it's a wash in the House.
And we also got to let people know that you don't have to know everything. You don't have to understand everything going on in politics. You just have to know what is important to you in your life and what's good for you and your family. And just look at the people that are most going in that direction. And 10 times out of 10, it's going to be a Democrat.
Democrat, right. Well, and also,
look, 25 years of Republicans here in Texas, 25 years of Republicans here in Texas. Roads are crap. Schools are crap. Power grids crap. Water systems crap. I mean, just how much more can you take? I mean, before you wake up and realize Republicans cannot govern, vote frickin' Democrat in the Republican Party, and then something else will come up in its place. We'll have an opposition party come up in its place to oppose Democrats, which is what we need to stay healthy. But damn, these idiots cannot govern. They don't
want to. They don't want to. The whole goal,
if you're sick of not being able to afford the food to put on the table, while CEOs get $100 million Christmas bonuses and fly their penis-shaped rockets to fucking space for 35 fucking seconds with William Shatner at the cost of, what it would cost to feed God knows how many homeless children or house God knows how many homeless people for even a week or 2 or whatever. That's a week or 2 they don't have to spend on the street. In a week or 2 they could feel like a human being and maybe get their motivation back. Whatever that amount of money could buy. It's ridiculous.
How we're having too good a time. We're never going to let you end the show.
Yeah, I know. No. I love it, and you're absolutely right in terms of just like follow your ethics and your morals and what you want to accomplish the best. And what you will find is that the fringes start to fall off no matter what. If you have even moments where you're like, I'm for this, I recognize what the problem is, but I don't believe that my farthest left friends or my farthest right friends have any idea how to solve it or whatever. I think there might be a negotiation that happens in the middle. That's what good governance is about. That's what democracy is about bringing all your best ideas to the table and trying to mix them together to solve the actual problem that we all agree on. That you don't have to disagree about the problem to both be proud of the progress that we have made and to tout it. And that is the other thing that's going to be hardest for us, because you and I, while they're still homeless on the street and while there's still, impoverished families or people trying to fight to keep up, it's very hard for us to go, the economy is improving, the life is improving in the United States, safety is improving, all that stuff, right? That it's going to be very hard to like boister that idea to people without them going, yeah, but the yeah, but isn't the important part. We're bailing water out of a boat that somebody tried to sink, and we're making progress. It's now not going to sink. Now we start reinforcing it and making it better. And that's the progress you build on. And you don't let it slide just because you're not there yet. Otherwise, I'm going to turn this democracy around, God damn it. That's like Marianne Williamson. Anyways, Texas Paul, thank you so much. And Texas Paul, you're on Shitter as Texas Paul. Yes, is that your moniker on there?
Well, it's actually Paul TX890, but I'm on Threads as Texas Paul. So
excellent,
yeah,
excellent. So
look for me on Threads. I'm at Midas_Brian23 on Shitter. I didn't know that for the longest time. I thought I was Boston Brian out there. I've been given the wrong
Midas_Brian23. Right, because you have Jordan's number. Is that what it is?
We'll work on yes, correct.
Correct. That's hilarious. And I'm Hal Sparks on everything because I'm named after a computer and I have no fucking excuse. And I've had halsparks.com since 1993. So I love you guys. Let's do this again. I love this chat. Did you enjoy? I hope you had a good time.
I love the chat. You have the best chat room pretty much in the world, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Such great people.
Good people, and they will help get this, like, we're going to do a major voter drive. So next year, I'm doing all these Sexy Liberal Comedy Tour dates, and if Steph doesn't want to add a date, I think we just podcast on the road or something. I think we all just buck up, find a venue, and fly to some of these red states and do find a little theater or comedy club. I'll book it, and you and me and maybe Tara as well, if she's up for it or whatever. We'll deadhead around the country, reminding people the progress that has been made, and to get them to, keep at it.
Absolutely.
All right.
I mean, I'm down.
I'm excited. I'm percolating with ideas. Until then, you guys are wonderful. Thank you, Texas Paul. Thank you, Boston Brian. Thank you, chat room.
Thank you, guys.
We'll see you next time.
Take care. Have a good day.
Okay. Cheers.